Hi, and welcome back to Utterly Understandable. Again, with me in the studio is Hamish Keston. Hamish, thanks for stopping by. Today, we've got a bit of an easier one for you. We're going to talk about co-ops.
Yeah,
Something we talk about a lot, but we rarely take the time to actually define what they are and how they differ from a typical commodity processing firm. So, if you wouldn't mind, Hamish, would you be able to talk us through what is a co-op and how is it structured?
sure. Yeah. So the first thing to understand about a cooperative business model is that they're organisations where the suppliers are also owners of the company, whereas like the normal public companies that you're used to seeing, the owners or the shareholders are distinct from the suppliers into the company. So cooperatives are really common in the agricultural industries, where there's a lot of small producers. You've got a perishable product, and that product requires further processing to get it into sort of a saleable, storable form. And the capital investment required to do this conversion is high. It doesn't make sense for the individual small sort of farmer producers to do that conversion, and there's an economy of scale by doing it at larger scale. So aggregating supply across a number of suppliers and then turning it into cheese or homo powder. And it also allows the sellers to band together to attain bargaining power with typically large sort of end user customers. So historically, they formed as they were either not well served by commercial organisations, or it was only at prices that were economically unfavourable. And the co-op was therefore established in order to act in the best interest of members. And what that means is that profit maximisation may not be the primary objective of a cooperative.
So you've got a processing unit, a processing network with huge barriers to entry. You have a multitude of small individual owners collectively pooling their resources to get the most out of their physical production. But profit maximization is not necessarily the primary objective. How does this tie into the decision making of a co-op? What does that mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Good question. So, just like in terms of the profit maximisation piece, so where the shareholders are distinct profit like of an organisation, then that organisation is focused on delivering profit through a dividend back to the shareholders. Whereas in a cooperative, the shareholders, the owners of the cooperative, are getting paid for the input, and then often there's some value added by the cooperative through the processing, distribution, sales. But those two streams, essentially the return for the primary product and the value add return, are kind of seen as one. So the cooperative owners are kind of almost indifferent between what's profit and what's for the primary product. So what that means is that cooperatives are focused on returning the highest possible price back to the producer for the primary input they supply, and there's limited distinction between what's for the raw material and what's from the value add that the cooperative provides through processing, distribution, sales and marketing. And as you kind of talked about in one of our previous podcasts about disassembly versus assembly, a commercial business that's it really seeks to source their raw input for the lowest price possible in order to maximise the return back to the shareholders. Whereas a cooperative, they're not trying to source their milk or their meat for as low as possible. They're trying to maximise that return that they provide back for that raw ingredient. So what that means in effect is is where you've got an industry that have cooperatives in it, it drives really fierce competition for the procurement of the raw material, which has a benefit for the producers of maximising their return. But conversely, it often means the margins like made by commercial businesses are in the low single digit sort of range.
Excellent. So would that be why, generally speaking, we see cooperatives are stronger in the commodities space, and why the private companies tend to pick a niche, so to speak, in value add or branded products?
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us today, Hamish. It's been another insightful discussion, and catch us next time on Utterly Understandable.